The first activity relates to observation skills, and you can ask the students what that word means, observation. It means looking at things really closely, and tell them that to be a good scientist, the most important thing is to have good observation skills. So today we're going to be looking at things closely. And our first activity is to work out what's in these containers. We have a set of 5 test tubes, and ask the students what they think's in there. They may say things like, oh, it's a chemical, it's water, it's a liquid. Try and introduce that word liquid. How do we know these are liquids? They're runny. So there's different kinds of chemicals. We have 5 liquids in the test tubes, 5 mystery liquids. And being a scientist is a little bit like being a detective. So you're going to be detectives now and try and look closely to work out what's in the test tubes. And you could ask them, do they all look the same? They all look the same. Do they all look like water? Well, yes, they all do look rather like water, but in fact only one of them's water. So you, the students, are going to have to be detectives and work out which one's water. How are you going to do it? You're not allowed to take the lids off. We can use our sense of sight, so we can look closely. We can look closely at what's in the test tube, and we can listen to what happens when we shake them, and we can watch what happens when we shake them. We're not going to take the lids off, but I will come around, the teacher will come around to the table and just take the lid off some of them, and we can use another one of our senses, our sense of smell, to smell the test tubes. But that's only the teacher's going to be doing that. Students are not taking the lids off. We're not going to be drinking anything when we do science. We're using our eyes to look, our hands to pick things up. We can use our hearing and our smell when the teacher takes the lid off for you. And then the students are going to go to the tables and test the chemicals as they've been directed, and try and work out which one's water, and observe the differences between them when they test them, how they've been shown. So when the students get to the table, they're going to be all merrily shaking and testing and tipping these liquids to and hearing that one has a bit of a different sound, and looking at what happens when they shake them and seeing that they make bubbles, but they make different kinds of bubbles. That one's very frothy, little tiny bubbles. This one makes small bubbles that are almost like they're frozen in place. They move very slowly. This one has fast bubbles and they don't last. This one, wow, what happens with that? It's a bit unexpected. It makes no sound when we shake it, and it doesn't seem to make bubbles, but if we shake it really hard, we can see a few tiny little frozen bubbles. And if we tip it, it moves very slowly. So these are the observations to see the differences between these liquids. This one, the one with the red dot, and the students will be able to differentiate between the 5 liquids because they've got different coloured dots. Yeah, the one with the red dot is quite similar to the one with the green dot, but you and the class teacher will be going around just taking the lid off and waving it close to the noses of the eager students, and they'll be smelling that one, unlike the green one, the red one has a very strong smell, a very strange chemically smell. And you could also, although this one does look a lot different than the green one, this one's also useful for them to smell. This one's vinegar, and that also has a strong smell. If you've got time, the blue one also has a little bit of a perfumey smell. But particularly the red one is the one you really need to get them to smell, because visually you can't tell a lot of difference between the water in the green one and the methylated spirits or metho in the red one. If they're really looking closely, they'll see that the bubbles disappear slightly more quickly in the methylated spirits compared to the water. It's slightly runnier than water, but the main difference is water has no smell, methylated spirits does. So then you'll get the students back to the floor to discuss their results. If they're a really good listening group, you can quickly discuss the results while they're standing at the tables, if you can get them to be quiet at the tables. But often it's better to get them to come back to the floor. And back at the floor, you can just ask the students what their observations were. What was the difference between the green one and the blue one and the yellow one and the white one and the red one? And encourage them to be noticing all those things just pointed out, that the different bubbles, the speed of the movement of the bubbles, how much bubbles they make from the very frothy ones to the one that doesn't really make bubbles, the gooiness of the liquid. The blue one is glycerine. It's very thick and gooey, so some liquids are like that, some are runny, like the red one or the green one. And which one is water is a question to be asked as well to the students. And hopefully they'll, by process of ruling out all the other ones, the green one is the water. They may say the red one, but of course the smell told us that can't be water. So we're not particularly worried about exactly what chemical's in the other one. This one's baby oil. Sorry, this one's glycerine, the really thick one. The white one is baby oil. The sticky one with slow moving bubbles, the yellow one's vinegar. The red one's methylated spirits. Vinegar has the very frothy bubbles, so that can't be water. So we can rule them all out except for the green one, which has that familiar properties of water. And then we'll move on to the next activity.